Good evening and welcome to Estuary TV News. A little later, after the sports news, my colleague James Dunn will be having a look at this week's papers. Before that, he'll give you the headlines.
Hello. In the headlines today, 6 people injured in a serious crash in Stallingborough. And Cleethorpes Pleasure Island welcomes a different kind of guest into the park. 2 young children remain in hospital in a serious condition after an accident in Stallingborough that injured 6 people on Wednesday. A 6-year-old boy is at Sheffield Children's Hospital and a 4-year-old girl at Leeds General Infirmary. Another girl, a boy and 2 women were also taken into hospital in Hull. They were all travelling in a blue BMW X5 which left the road shortly before 1:30 on Wednesday. Police are appealing for anyone who saw the car leave the road to come forward. Petitions to save Hull's Hands-on History Museum have now got 2,500 signatures. The council announced earlier this year that it planned to close the museum to walk-in customers to save £150,000, although it would remain open for pre-booked groups. But campaigner Mike Covell and his supporters object to the closure, which they say would be a huge loss ahead of their City of Culture year in 2017 and would lead to job cuts.
This is the Hands-on History Museum in Hull. And it's an old grammar school. It's been here since the 1500s, and at the moment it's a place where children can come and actually touch the exhibits and get dressed up and things like that. And the idea is to close it to walk-in customers with the idea of saving £150,000 a year. Another important aspect is on the first floor you've got the actual history of Hull and the social history of Hull, which I think is very important for people to learn. Another important aspect is we're 2017 with the City of Culture. So to close museums in the run-up to that is, it's quite shocking.
A 22-year-old Scunthorpe man has been charged with 2 counts of attempted murder after 2 men were stabbed during a burglary. Michael Barker-Jones was charged following an aggravated burglary on Grange Lane South in Scunthorpe in the early hours of Saturday, April the 12th. 2 men, 38 and 70 years old, were taken to hospital having sustained stab wounds during the incident. The 38-year-old has been discharged, but the 70-year-old remains in Hull Royal Infirmary in a stable condition. 2 women, 47 and 20, and another 22-year-old man were also arrested, but released on bail. Hull City Council has committed £75 million to housing in the city, one of the biggest allocations in the country. It's believed it will give the local economy a £280 million boost over 5 years and create 1,300 jobs. And the total to be invested in housing over that time is expected to be more like £500 million, with added input from the private sector, housing associations and other partners. Thousands of homes will get improvements. There will be 3,500 new homes built and 500 of them council houses. 650 empty properties will be brought back into use. Over 4,300 people flocked to North Lincolnshire's historic venue Normanby Hall to celebrate its 50th birthday this week, and it hopes to welcome thousands more before the end of the season in September. Visit North Lincolnshire Council's website to find out what's on. 76% of young people in Yorkshire and the Humber see their long-term future here in the UK, among the highest in the country. It's 6% higher than the national average among the 16 to 21-year-olds who took part in the survey carried out by a company that offers moving advice. Child seat clinics are to be held in Hull to teach people how dangerous it can be to put a young child in an incorrectly fitted seat. Parents can get their seats checked and correctly fitted by experts between 10 AM and 3 PM at Asda on Hessel Road next Thursday, April the 24th. Cleethorpes Pleasure Island has welcomed some new guests to the park, but they're not the usual Easter weekend tourists. 2 emus native to Australia and 2 alpacas originating from the Andes are the park's newest attractions to the Furry Friends Farm, and they're now running a competition for guests to name them.
They arrived about a week and a half ago. They're very friendly. I've actually been and sat in with them and they've sat down just in front of us. We're feeding them fruit and veg and they're very good. I haven't yet been spat on, so.
They are famous for spitting, aren't they?
Yes, but I haven't yet, so I'm quite glad. I've seen them spit at each other, but I haven't physically been spat on yet, which is good. The emus arrived a couple of days ago. They're very new to me, as well as everybody else in the park, so I'm learning new things myself.
And if you've got any suggestions, you can email them to georgia@pleasure-island.co.uk. That's all for me for now. I'll see you for the next bulletin.
Thank you, James. I have some sports news. Hull host Arsenal in the league just 4 weeks before they meet again in the FA Cup final. However, Steve Bruce will hope his players can put that to the back of their minds as they take care of Premier League business. Scunthorpe travel to Morecambe before hosting Oxford at Glanford Park on Monday, hoping to extend their unbeaten run of 26 games. As they're only a point ahead of Rochdale and 2 ahead of Chesterfield, the race is on for the League Two title. After a disappointing result against Halifax on Tuesday, it's crucial that Grimsby Town wins their next 2 games, Alfreton on Friday, before they play bottom of the Skrill Premier League table Hyde. With nothing to play for, the Lincoln faithful still want Gary Simpson's Imps to finish the season with spirit, first against high flyers Cambridge and then Wrexham, who are directly below them in 16th place. Curtis Woodhouse's Ghoul side are at home to Market Drayton and then on their travels to face near rivals Scarborough Athletic. Cleethorpes Town are at home to Turversall in their penultimate fixture as they aim to beat Shaw Lane Aquaforce at the Northern Counties League Division 1 title, and the current scoring form of Chris Funnell could play a major role in what happens there. Elsewhere, lowly Louth Town play Dinnington Town in their last home game of what has been a very disappointing season. And that's the sport. James.
Hello, Hugh. Thank you.
What's caught your eye in the newspapers?
Well, there's been a number of things. I mean, the first one, which is obviously the biggest news of the week, perhaps of the year, Austin Mitchell, after 37 years, has stepped down. And you interviewed him yesterday on the show. I did.
It's big news for our area, anyway. Yes.
It is. I mean, and it's really hit the headlines everywhere, this area. It's been on, the Yorkshire Post have done a nice piece on him, obviously, the Grimsby Telegraph. Cleethorpes Chronicle have led on it. It's been all over BBC Look North. But I'm almost a little bit surprised that I didn't see it go any further.
There's not been that much reaction from his brothers and sisters in the Labour Party.
I know. I mean, I did have a brief look over social media, and I know politicians now have to be very big on social media. Austin himself does a bit of tweeting, despite being nearly 80 years old. But I saw a tweet from Diane Abbott wishing him well, but I was kind of a little disappointed that I didn't see something from Ed Miliband himself, particularly given when you gave your interview with him yesterday. He made such a strong effort to make it very clear that he didn't have any problems with the Labour Party, the leadership, and he's still a party man. But that's not to say that that local media and the dominance his retirement's had over everything. Isn't something to be proud of, and it's certainly something that he did deserve.
Well, after a very long political career, it's not just the present leadership of the Labour Party that seems very silent on his retirement, but he's had horrible arguments with several leaders of the Labour Party over the last 4 decades.
Well, he's a vocal man, isn't he?
Nothing from Kinnock, nothing from Blair, nothing from Brown. Yes.
We don't tend to hear a great deal from them in general, though, do we?
Well, this is a historical moment. Maybe they'll say something in the coming weeks.
I agree. Let's hope so.
Okay. What else have you got?
Well, I'm gonna change the tone dramatically here, and I was just going through the Scunthorpe Telegraph, and the thing that caught my eye, and it can't really fail to catch your eye, is this picture here, and it's. He's a very bizarre colour. I'm not sure if you agree, Hugh.
He's grotesque.
But this is the Bodybuilding UK Open coming to the Wortley House Hotel in North Lincolnshire, and I just find it very bizarre. I mean, that guy there in the picture is actually a former Scunthorpe United player, apparently, and I don't know, when you look at these guys, I think it's really on the rise, this sort of thing.
It's an awful lot of effort, though, isn't it?
I just see a lot of big guys everywhere now, and that colour. I mean, I don't know. You'll have to tell me. But many years ago, I'm not sure if that thing would be considered masculine at all.
I'm not qualified to talk about many years ago, James. But it's just it's a strange piece of vanity, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you want to do, fair enough, I suppose.
Maybe it's useful if in your day job you have to lift trees.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, no, I've got to be honest. I mean, I'm sure it's great news that this big competition is coming to Scunthorpe, but rather than bronzed and buffed, I'm just baffled by the whole thing, to be quite honest.
Right. Another story. What else have you found? What's caught your eye?
I must admit, this is probably my favourite story of the week, actually, but it's on the front of the Grimsby Telegraph here on Wednesday, and we did a story about it in our bulletin as well. It's about the ongoing saga at Cleethorpes Leisure Centre, the swimming pool which closed for a £2.5 million refurbishment and then reopened again in February. But there were complaints that too many people were slipping over on the floor.
Right.
So they then closed it again, and they installed a new anti-slip floor, and someone's fallen over, and a mother is saying that this floor now is like sandpaper, so if you do fall over, then you'll really injure yourself. And I just think it's why I don't envy councillors or people in those positions, because it's such a case of you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Well, I mean, they can't do right for doing wrong, can they? What's the solution? When's it going to open again? What's going to happen?
Well, I mean, it remains open, and the council have said that it is safe, and you know, the lifeguard staff will keep an eye out. And
just wear elbow pads and knee pads if you're running by the pool.
I suppose that would be the advice, wouldn't it?
Okay.
And finally, the story that I'd just like to mention here, which is in the Cleethorpes Chronicle here, and it's about Cleethorpes Dance Festival. Now, this is a festival that happens twice a year. Now, I must declare a bit of a personal interest in that my girlfriend's a local dance teacher. I won't mention her name for fear of upsetting other dance schools, because I know the rivalry is extremely hot, particularly at this time of year.
I have no fear of mentioning my friend who's a local dance teacher, and I'm sure Penny Smith is involved in this, and she always does an absolutely brilliant job.
I would have warned you against it, but it's a little late for that, I think, now.
I'm quite courageous.
But, no, I mean, it's just crazy when you actually go along, and it's a small hall in Cleethorpes, but it's absolutely overrun with families, and you know, they get over 100 people in the crowd regularly every day, and this is a 10-day festival. It's no short affair, and it goes on throughout sort of, you know, a good proportion of the school holidays, and it takes months and months of preparation. You see these costumes, and it's a different world. I mean, they refer to it as the dance world. You regularly hear these people talking about the dance world. But
is this an enthusiasm generated by all the television dance programmes, all that business with Bruce Forsyth and?
Well,
I'd
say that the newer one, actually, and Strictly Come Dancing is old news compared to Dance Moms, because it's an American show.
I see.
I'll tell you about.
This is Mom spelt with an O.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's a show in the US, but it's it's huge, basically, and I won't go into the details, but I've watched it, obviously, but it's about these sort of crazy dance schools in America, and really, it looks crazy on the TV show, but it's not necessarily that unusual, I would dare to say.
Very well. Shall we have time for one more, a little bit of a return to the 1940s in Hull?
Yes, Girls' Night Out. It's a movie being filmed in Hull at the moment. They've got Rupert Everett as one of the starring
I think he's
cast.
playing King George VI, I think, isn't he?
But, I mean, the great thing about it, actually, if I'm honest, just the whole idea behind it, the idea that at the end of the Second World War, to celebrate, these two princesses, who must have led an extremely sheltered life, as you can imagine, got to sort of go out on the town in post-war London, I suppose.
Well, just very immediately post-war London. Yes,
if we're going to be,
nights.
if we're going to be clinical about the facts.
I was in Hull the other day, and the centre of Hull by the town hall has turned into a 1940s London street with bovrolads and old-fashioned Route Master London double-decker buses. And
I've seen pictures, and it does look incredible.
The sad thing is Hull is very much like London in the 1940s, perhaps. Perhaps that's
well, yeah,
I'm
not sure if they should be too flattered about that, but.
James, thank you very much. We should wrap it up there.
Okay, thank you for having me.
That's all we have time for today. If you have any stories for us, then please email news@estuary.tv or contact us via Twitter or Facebook as usual, or give us a call on the old-fashioned telephone 01472 315561. Emma will be back next week. Goodbye.